डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Hello friends, Namaskar. I, Dr. Bhavna Trivedi, an assistant professor of English, welcome you all to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University video lecture series. Today in this session, we are continuing with the last essay, The Function of Criticism at the Present Time by Matthew Arnold. Victorian period is the period of great gigantic figures like Robert Browning, Matthew Arnold, Alfred Tennyson, and all of them have tremendously contributed in the field of poetry. But in case of Matthew Arnold, we can say he also carries a formidable reputation as a critic. And not only that, his concepts even have influenced the later criticism. And we can name two great figures over here, T.S. Eliot and F.R. Lewis. Victorian period is the period of great incertitude, right? Where we find two opposite current of flows, that is, romantic influences of romantic age and that of, influences of emerging modern period. And in such a period, we can say Arnold has serenely acknowledged the inadequacy of the old world order and placed the firm belief in culture and tradition. In last session, we discussed three major functions of criticism that Arnold has discussed in his essay. And Arnold says the first function of criticism is to see the things as they are. That is to say, critics are supposed to be very fair and honest in evaluating any piece of literature. They should be very objective. There should not be any subjective note. They should be free from any kind of bias and prejudice. Secondly, Arnold says, it is the duty of criticism to prevail the best ideas. Critics are supposed to share their insights and perspective so people can very nicely comprehend the world. And thirdly, Arnold says criticism should provide a space where creativity can thrive. It is the duty of criticism to build a kind of environment where great artist and thinker can come up freely. Taking this particular thing, giving this particular three major functions, actually Arnold propagates the role of the critic as a social benefactor, right? And in further, in essay, we find Arnold, comparing two important figures. One is, very important figure of romantic age, Byron. And second one is, German polymath Goethe, or Goethe as it is pronounced, right? Polymath is a person who is a scholar of many fields of knowledge. Like, Goethe was a scholar of, he was scientist, playwright, poet, right? And in that case, he had, knowledge of different eclectic fields. Polyglot is a person who knows many language, and polymath is a scholar of eclectic field. So here, by comparing this particular two important critics, actually Arnold says how creative and critical faculties conjoin to provide great literature. For Arnold, literature is an experiment in life. The march of a great genius scholar and that of society should go hand in hand, right? And because in that way only the creative power power can, work with elements, with material. The poet must have, comprehensive, full knowledge of different fields. Literature is all about reflecting life and world, and both literature as well as life are very complex phenomena. So taking the overall comprehensive, view of this particular thing, one can create a unique piece of literature. That is what Arnold wants to say. And by comparing these two figures, Arnold says, in case of Byron, we find a deficiency in substance, while, Gathi's works are nourished by a great critical effort, providing true material for it. Gathe knows life and the world, and that is the foremost critical and creative requirement for the poets in any case, through understanding of his subject. Ultimate goal of criticism, according to Arnold, is to establish an order of ideas, allowing, for creative literary genius to flourish. For Arnold, criticism is a process of intellectual preparation. He says, labor may be vainly spent in attempting it, which might with more fruit be used in preparing for it, in rendering it possible. Arnold challenges here by saying this, by referring this, actually Arnold challenges the view held by certain poets like Wordsworth, who says that criticism is a waste of time. Actually, what Arnold means over here is that criticism play a vital role in shaping the intellectual foundation of society. For Arnold, criticism is a free play of mind on all subjects it touches, and taking these particular ideas, actually Arnold has in that case a major school of criticism later having in that case got influenced by Arnold's ideas, right? Later in one of the works, The Study of Poetry, Arnold extend this particular idea and says that he refers that particular concept as the touchstone method, where he says that by comparing any work of literature to recognized masterpieces, right, we can evaluate literature in a proper way, right? We can assess the quality of that work, and by that we receive an objective standard of literary criticism. And this particular method of Arnold, actually he reflects his commitment to intellectual rigor and high standard, right? Arnold, to understand this particular essay, actually we should redefine certain terms, and it should be in the context of Arnold only. Like, say for example, criticism is the process of evaluation, but in the context of Arnold, we can say criticism is an intellectual process, intellectual effort to see the things as they are. Another important thing, disinterestedness, that we discussed in last session also, right? By disinterestedness, Arnold means total impartiality. A critic should not be partial or prejudiced or biased, taking any consideration of history, biography, autobiography, or any kind of tradition. For Arnold, Arnold says the superiority of creative power depends on a foundation of critical thought. Creative power thrives only in atmosphere rich with well-developed ideas established by critic. So in that case, duty of critic is not less than that of legislator of society. According to Plato, we have seen that poets are the legislators of the society, and for Arnold, Arnold is called critics, and for him, right, a critic's duty is not less than that of custodian. Another important term that here we need to discuss is epoch of expansion. It is a time span which is rare, as Arnold says, resulted from thorough critical preparation and intellectual foreground. Another term Arnold refers in this particular essay is a synthesis versus discovery. It is the duty of literature, or we can say literature actually generally synthesizes the things which are already present, right? While philosophy actually invents the thing. Right? Philosophy, is the subject where new things are introduced. In case of literature, material, substance is already there, present, life itself. And it is the duty of, in that way, poets or poet writers to synthesize that particular thing, right? Polemic criticism is a kind of form of criticism which focuses on political or practical or any kind of ideological, concern rather than an intellectual ideal, right? So this particular essay actually is the foundation for modern literary criticism. It is a cornerstone for later developments in the world of criticism, and especially we find the same ideas reflected in new criticism, which emphasizes the importance of examining the text without external influences. New criticism actually emphasizes on close reading of the text and the intrinsic analysis of the literary works without reference to historical, traditional, or biographical context. Not only that, even Arnold actually was an advocate of morality and standard of society. He was a great advocate of cultural discipline, and taking this particular, for him, literature is a tool to shape the society, and criticism actually plays a role in ensuring that the best ideas prevail. And this perspective influenced later theories such as moral and ethical criticism. Not only that, even structuralist and post-structuralist ideas are found influenced by Arnold's concept, right? In both these particular theories, texts are built on the foundation on pre-existing structures, ideas, and critical, reflections. For Arnold, creative power works with elements, with material, which are provided through the efforts of critical thought. So in that case, we can say major schools of criticism, right, later are highly influenced by this particular innovative, idea that he has already, for that Arnold has used the term disinterested endeavor. Arnold's disinterested endeavor has been highly influential in the development of later criticism. So we can say this particular essay is a foundational text in the field of literary criticism, where Arnold very nicely emphasizing on disseminating of ideas, fostering creativity, and in this way he believes that it is the duty of criticism to lead the society towards culture and moral refinement. It was Arnold's firm belief that power of ideas shape human thoughts and progress. And in that way, as a critic, Arnold's emphasis is found on objectivity, intellectual rigor, and the integration of diverse cultural perspectives. Thank you.